Hi, I'm Mario Evon, and you're listening to Talk Truth, a weekly Inspir-Edu-Tainment podcast discussing the things that most people are afraid to, but from a Jamaican perspective. From relationships, sex and sexuality, to the ins and outs of entrepreneurship, in this space we speak about almost anything with the intention to inspire, educate, entertain, and create a fair and balanced space where your truth shall become your power and set you free. In this our first episode, episode 1, we titled it The Introduction. Wow, it is episode 1 of Talk Truth. Talk Truth! And that's why I'm going to say it most of the time still, but boy, it's really our pleasure to be here on our podcast. It's been something I've been dreaming of doing for a little while, and I've put a lot of research and time into just trying to figure out how I wanted to kind of express myself in this space. And for this first episode, which we call the introduction, I thought I'd tackle it with the 5 W's, because the 5 W's kind of really cover everything. And the 5 W's would be who, what, why, when, and where. So let's start with the obvious. And who is Mario Evon? Well, my full name is Mario Evon Guthrie, and I go by a stage name, Mario Evon. And people tend to like to add a S to it. They tend to like to change the O in the middle to a A. So I am Mario Evans. But it's my middle name. It's my birth middle name given to me by my parents. So I am Mario Evon Guthrie. And I decided somewhere around 2008 to use my first and my middle name as my stage name. And that was kind of a popular thing in that time. It was a hot thing. Everybody was going by first and middle names. And I like the idea of separating my entertainment persona from my medical persona, because not only am I a reggae soul singer-songwriter, I am a medical doctor. And I do both at a relatively high level. I function as a general practitioner in the medical sphere. And as a musician, I write my own original material, which can be anything, to be honest. But my very first album was branded Reggae Soul. And apart from being an artist, I function a lot in a corporate space where I sing at events and I sometimes perform at weddings. And this is pretty much my life. So I am pretty much an entrepreneur, and I function in that space as a medical doctor and a musician, and my two worlds collide. And a lot of the things I'll have to share in this podcast might bring that into play as well. More about Mario Evon. I am born in October, which makes me a Libra. So for the people who are into horoscopes, I am the scale. You know, some people say we procrastinate. They say that we are fence sitters. You know, what I'll say, I wouldn't call myself a fence sitter, but as a Libra, I can definitely agree to being passionate about some things and having strong opinions about them, and not about others. So there's some things that I really don't care about. And for me, Talk Truth came out of a place where there's some things I'm not afraid to talk about. Like, people have sex, and people smoke, and people drink, and people curse, and people just do a lot of things that don't affect the price of rice. And I just don't know why people are so afraid to talk about some of those things. There's a lot of shame surrounding bodily functions, like whether you piss and go to the bathroom, like everybody have to do it. So those things don't bother me. And there's some things that I'm highly passionate about, like the role of the underdog and how the underdog is treated. You know, I was one of those people who was picked on when I was younger. And so teasing and bullying is something I'm passionate about. And luckily, I've come out as an adult who seems to be well respected by society. So no one would really think that I had a childhood of hardship in that sphere, but it has really helped to make me the person that I've become. And as a doctor, I counsel and advise many people. So, you know, I'm one of those people who's the vault friend. I'm the friend that you tell things to because they won't tell anybody else. I'm not a mouth. I practice confidentiality not only professionally, but I really truly believe that people share their truth with you because they trust you. And I think that you need to respect that truth. So on a day-to-day level, I am not only a friend, I'm an ear, I'm an advisor. And I feel like I've just had such a balanced life experience, and I give thanks for wonderful parents who have supported me and allowed me to go into spaces like college in the US, which was after going to medical school in Jamaica. So, I have been born and raised in Jamaica all of my life. And then, I kind of moved over into the States for maybe 4 or 5 years when I went to music school. So, I have the exposure of Jamaica and I have a little bit of exposure of the United States, along with all the pop culture that we're all brainwashed with on TV. And it's just a real hodgepodge of rural country parents, town-grown Kingston boy, go to school in town, go to school abroad a little bit, and just between all of the friends and the family and my own life encounters, it's been quite a journey. And I feel like I have something to share and, just to give people. Which comes to the what? What is Talk Truth? And Talk Truth is really what I've coined Inspir-Edu-Tainment. And as it sounds, it's to inspire, it's to educate, and it is to entertain. And sometimes we just want to laugh, hence the entertainment. And inspiration, sometimes we just need somebody to tell us to get the hell off of our asses and just get the things done. And in terms of education, definitely in music and medicine, I can definitely apply some knowledge. And in life, I sure I can apply some as well. So I figure we can do all three right here in this space. What Talk Truth is not, it's not a space of gossip. It's not a space for sus. And it's not a space to degrade or demean any category of person. This is really supposed to be an open and comfortable space. But we're going to be having some big conversations. And we're going to be having some brainless conversations as well. Just like those people who watch Love and Hip Hop, brainless TV, this will fall into the category of brainless at times. But I feel like really we need to speak about certain things, in particularly the Jamaican space, which leads me to the why. Jamaica is pretty much known as a relatively conservative country. And it's kind of ironic how we are paradoxically conservative, where, you have dancehall and soca, where everybody is half-dressed and naked, people are winding up their bodies, and then people are like, how can you be conservative? But a chunk of the population is Christian, and a lot of our foundation is very British and very Christian. So you find that there is a certain level of, conservative behavior tied to that. In terms of our dress, sometimes to on a more formal side, we can even lean to a more European kind of vibe. What that means in terms of conversations is that things that are taboo get swept under the rug, Jamaica is conservative, Jamaica is Christian, Jamaica is homophobic, but there's a lot of things happening in the space that we talk about in our group chats and in our small little spaces that never ever come to the fore. So again, some of it will be deep, some of it will be funny, some of it will be random as hell, but at the end of the day, none of it will be to degrade anybody, and it will just be to create a space. So let's motivate, educate, inspire, and entertain in a comfortable space, which might get a little hot sometimes. And in terms of when, of course, this podcast is going to be weekly, because I'm going to commit to appearing every week with a hot new topic to kind of ensure that you are, getting some information. And in terms of where, it's going to be everywhere that you consume your podcast. So for iTunes users, of course, you have your resident podcast on your phone, the Apple users. And Google Android has a series of apps that you can use. I use podcasts on my Android phone, but you can also consume this podcast on Spotify, Google Play, TuneIn, Pocket Podcast, Castro, Radio Public, Breaker, Stitcher, Pandora, Himalaya, Player.fm. There are so many. So wherever you choose to consume it, it's going to be available on most of your popular podcasting platforms. So stay with me for this ride. I am truly excited to come into this space. I don't know where it will go, but I've been led to come and speak to y'all because I feel like I am definitely the type of person who can be the voice for Talk Truth. So again, let's see what comes every week. It's going to be a fun ride. I am Mario Evon, and you've been listening to the first episode, the introduction of Talk Truth. Follow us on Twitter at TalkTruthJA, and follow me at Mario Evon, where I'll be promoting this podcast. And if you like what you've been hearing so far, or you're just curious to know what's going to come, ensure that you subscribe and like, share with your friends, and then, of course, give us a review over on iTunes where you can rate and review this podcast, which really, really, really helps to make this thing pop some more. All right. And don't forget to check out the show notes, which I'm going to keep on my own website, marioevon.com/podcast. This is Talk Truth, where we encourage you to make your truth your power. Until next time.